Hey all, this is Nader here with Nasty Nate TV. For the past 7 weeks, I've been playing in various online tournaments where each week I've been playing one of the new 50-point missions that came out in the Omega Directive. And so here I'm going to give you my review of each of these 50-point missions. Number 7 on my list is Vintac System. First, it's easy to find these skills on your personnel. For example, original Jonathan Archer and Logan Black collectively have all the mission skills. Also, Alternate Universe Starfleet does attribute boosting really well. A lot of their cards, like this T'Pol, get bonus attributes pretty easily. And the big card for them is Standard Punishment. So they can find the skills pretty easily and get attributes to solve this thing. Unfortunately, there's not a ton of personnel available to you. Starfleet Alternate Universe only has 16 different personnel, and 6 of those are doubles of Hoshi, Archer, and T'Pol. Now, non-aligned can help, but they don't have a ton of other personnel as well. They only have 15 alternate universe people. There's some good ones like Bashir, who you can certainly design a deck around, but some of the other ones don't make a lot of sense for the deck you might be playing. So Vina um, has high integrity but low cunning and strength, and that doesn't really fit well with the rest of Starfleet personnel. Now, what I ended up doing is I ended up playing mostly alternate universe people and a few 3 or more cost people that weren't alternate universe and using the plays the thing. The idea being that I could switch all of them to alternate universe, get benefits from things like standard punishment, and then when I solve Vintac, get the bonus from having all alternate universe people there. Now, but where I really had a hard time figuring out what how to make this card work was figuring out how to round the corner with it. So in one case, you can think of the headquarters mission gives you potentially an extra 10 points. So if you work your math out, Vintac could be worth 50 points. It could be worth 60 points. So you could imagine designing a deck that scores this for 50 or 60, and does the other mission for another mission for 50 or 40 to win the game. Unfortunately, there's not a single 50-point planet mission Starfleet can play with or can solve. And they only have one 40-point mission, and that one is Restore Errant Moon. So these together would get you 90 points, up to 100 if you get the bonus, but you can't really rely on that to to get the bonus. So you'd have to have an alternative way to win the game. One way to do that is to use War Without End. So War Without End is a card that gives you 10 points and you win a engagement using your alternate universe ship, and you get some nice boost to your weapons. And you really need them because your ships usually are really low attributes, like the Avenger. Now the nice thing is they are relatively easy to staff and cheap, but needing them to rely on a battle to win the game might be difficult. You can use cards like the Defiant, but then this kind of defeats the purpose of having low cost, easy to staff ships. The alternative is to say, okay, we're not going to do a second big mission. We're going to do 2 small ones. And Starfleet has a lot of options for that. They have cards like Jupiter and Secure Strategic Base, which are pretty nice. So you could do that, but then you kind of run into the alternative issue is if you solve one of your easy 30-point missions fast and first, let's say you solve Jupiter first for 40 points, why would you even bother going to Vintac at that point? You could just do some of your easy planet missions and win the game. And that's basically how the tournament went for me when I played it. So final rating of this card, I would rate it a overwhelmed. It's a card you really want to build your deck around, and it looks pretty good, but it's kind of hard to pull off, and you might be better off finding an alternative. Number 6 on my list is Northwest Passage. So I wanted to play this mission right after the Quintessence errata came out. Kind of a long story short, I felt the errata is kind of underwhelming for the card and actually didn't even play it in that particular deck. Anyway, but back to the mission. So this is a Delta Quadrant mission, which means Annexation Drone is out. There are a couple of good personnel options to go with this. The most obvious one is the new Locutus. So you have to have all Borg missions to use his ability. So this is one mission at Arsenal. And the other one is 9 of 17 multiplexer drones. This one's when you win an engagement, you can put a dilemma beneath your 50-point mission. So you can see these two cards kind of work well together. You could use a Cutis to get maneuvers out early and then get a free dilemma with the multiplexer drone. I was playing when I played this deck. I played more of a kind of light battle deck, so I used the multiplexer drone, but not that Locutus. Now the mission skills aren't too bad. Astra 2x nav security and transporters. Because a couple nice cards. Evaluation drone is really good here, so he provides security and can interlink the exobiology to everyone. So he provides 3 of the 6 skills himself. And then reconnaissance drone is also pretty good. He provides 4 of the 6 skills. One thing to be careful of, and this happened in one of my games, is I played against a deck that was not letting me gain skills, and so I couldn't gain exobiology, and then that basically meant I couldn't. I had a very difficult time even getting the mission skills for that mission. But in general, Borg kind of struggle with the right now, and like I said, the quintessence errata didn't change much. I don't think this mission does too much of that, because you still run into kind of the like obvious walls you're going to run into. Nothing to lose is just a full stop without a bridge officer's test. Because you want to be using bridge officer's test, you're probably thinking about the other Locutus instead of the other the new one. Now, so kind of alternatively to Starfleet, they didn't have Starfleet kind of had only a few ways to get to 100 points. Borg actually have quite a few. The obvious ones are one with the Borg to assimilate your opponent's people, and because your ships are so big, you can win battle pretty easily. And maybe you're playing battle with all these cards. You can play Call to Arms for some bonus points. So it's pretty easy to get bonus points with Borg to round the corner. But each of these cards lets you score kind of more than 10. They can easily score 30, 40 points from some of these cards in playing them multiple times, and depending on how the game goes out. So if you're getting 30 points from bonus points, you really don't need a 50-point mission, and it kind of is gonna hurt you, because you might be better off attempting with fewer people and then using knowledge and experience, for example, to beat the 1 or 2 dilemmas your opponent can play. So overall, I rate the card a Jem'Hadar Strike Force. So like Jem'Hadar Strike Force, it's can have some good it has some good effects, can help you win the game, but it's kind of costly, and it seems like it's trying to do too much for what it ultimately does. All right, number 5 on my list is the new Earth Conduct Espionage. So this is a Dominion mission, and it's a strength mission, so Crom is in play here. But the requirements are pretty tough with 3 treachery, 2 intelligence, and 2 anthropology. So a card like Issue of Trust is just a full stop. And a lot of the people that have the mission skills that you would normally want to use to attempt this, like Krajewski Founder, normally you're going to be wanting them at your opponent's mission doing their infiltrator stuff. I actually found probably the best card for this mission is Kieran McDuff, who has 5 of the mission skills and is an infiltrator himself. But overall, it's a pretty hard mission for Dominion. So why did I actually give it a 5 on my list? Well, it's actually an insane Tane mission. So you have to, if you're using it with Tane, you have to run out of dual headquarters, I think. Maybe you could do some shenanigans, but you have to run out of a dual headquarters. Kind of the more obvious ones is Cardassia with Terrak Nor. You could also run kind of any combination of Terrak Nor, Founder's Homeworld, or Cardassia Prime. I guess if you don't run Cardassia Prime, you can't really use Tane without some help. Other cards that are actually, it goes perfectly well in a Tane deck is Goran, right? So Goran is an infiltrator with intelligence, kind of goes in every Tane deck in existence. And if you're playing dual headquarters, you can use a card like Wayun to download Tane to even get your deck moving much faster. When I played it, I played this dual headquarters with Terrak Nor and Cardassia and used the full gambit of stuff available to me. That was include the VR headset to get some people out pretty cheap. Use the Reclaim Terrac Nor to give everyone Terrac Nor icons so that I could give them all Cunning boosts with Dark Dissension. So you can imagine you got 3 Dark Dissensions in play. You're running, all your people are boosted, and you might have Enterprise J as well. So everyone's going to be a +4 Cunning. It's gonna and a Tane deck that's going to make that really easy to solve. Both Cardassian and Dominion have a lot of ways around the corner too. So in that particular deck, you either use their Jem'Hadar Ambush, or if you want to play more of a capture-oriented deck, you play something like Labor Force. So it's a really good Tane mission. Not a very good straight Dominion mission, but it works out if you can pull that off. Now, I rate this card a Quark True Ferengi for the reason that Quark True Ferengi looks like he's a Ferenginar card, smells like he's a Ferenginar card, but he's actually a much better Deep Space Nine card than a Ferenginar card, and that's exactly what I think this new mission is. It says it's a Dominion mission. It's got kind of some flavorful Dominion game text, but it's best as a Tane mission, and I think it actually could probably be a decent Romulan mission for that matter too. So number 4 on my list is Bajoran Sector. Among the 3 affiliations that can attempt it, Fed arguably get the most benefit out of it if all their missions are Dominion missions. And so when I played this, I ran it out of a Earth Deep Space Nine headquarters mission. Now, to get 100 points with this mission, there's not kind of an obvious 50-point mission that goes along with it. Actually, I don't think there's any that meet this requirement. The closest one that does it is Signal for Rescue. So this is a 45-point mission. So you can imagine you solve 50 or 45. That leaves you 5 more points you need to win the game. And the way I did that is I tried to solve both of these missions and use Promenade School to finish off the 100 points. Now, since you're playing Promenade School maybe early, it makes sense to also run Jerish Inyo in that particular deck, who is very good at getting the key personnel to attempt that mission. Though his 4 strength is a little low. The nice thing is I got to play with a couple of the new cards that came out as well that just made sense to go with this mission. The new one is Reese. So Reese, when I looked at him, I thought he's not that good, but actually he has the 2 security, which is nice for Bajoran Sector. And he also has biology, which is nice for Signal for Rescue. And because you have such kind of important people that you want to exclude from random selections, he's very good to have around, although he's kind of expensive at 4. Now, there's the biggest challenge I found with this mission is, which Cisco am I going to play? So the one I ended up playing with was the Defiant Captain Cisco, kind of mostly because him and Reese have the mission skills for Bajoran Sector alone. And I just kind of never need to worry about finding ships. So I kind of like playing this one. But there's a lot of other good options, right? I think maybe the best one is probably the Resourceful Captain Cisco. This is the one that gets bonuses at a Dominion mission. Kind of makes the most sense to play him. The Confessions related Cisco is really good as well. A lot of kind of mission skills, and if you want to play Confessions, is good. Even the Bold Captain Cisco, from What You Leave Behind, so this is one that can't be stopped at a 40-point mission. So if you go on these 2 missions, he's just going to be unstopped. He's going to be a lore for you. And even there's another Cisco. You could also play the acting head of Starfleet Security. Has a lot of great skills for these missions, and can boost you up even more. So this deck has a ton of boosts to it. So in addition to kind of any of the Ciscos in the mission, you could play Salvage Attack Ship. So this is going to give all your Deep Space Nine people attributes +1. Also, there's Hollow Hospitality out there to give your guys strength +1. So you notice this Bajoran Sector is a strength mission, so you get some bonus there. Also play the J. So it's really easy to get my people up to +3 or 4 strength pretty easily. What I did notice is I was always a couple range, like 1 or 2 range short on my mission, so it really hurt not playing Mouth of the Wormhole as a headquarters, having that nice 1 span. But I think maybe with some deck tweaking, that might not become such of an issue. Because the kind of the crappy thing about this Salvage Attack Ship is it gets attributes +1 while it's at a Dominion mission, but if you fly your ship back to your headquarters ever, you lose that range boost, and that might be the one you needed to to leave. So I'm kind of rating this card a little bit, not just on how well it did, but its potential. So I think it has a lot of potential in kind of any Federation deck. Don't know about Deep Space Nine. I think there needs to be some more security in there to really make that work. But even like the other affiliations could probably do pretty well with it, right? So Dominion, it's a Dominion mission, so Telectalon, he's got a two security. He's gonna get boosted big because it's a mission worth more than 40 points. Odo is always great. He's got a ton of mission skills as well. So probably not too hard of a mission for Dominion personnel or Dominion player. Also for Cleon's, probably not too bad either. 46 strength, pretty easy to hit. Got a lot of personnel with just great skills for it. Kern's got 3 of the skills himself. Worf has, I think, 3 of this or 4 of the skills as well. So you can play it out of probably any headquarters. So I'm rating it a little higher than maybe I would just as I've experienced it because I think it has kind of more potential than I got to see from it. The nice thing, and I'll say this now, the kind of the other mission that's not a 50-point mission that I won't review. I played that mission in this deck. That's the Cardassia Prime. So this is a Dominion mission. And one of the games actually, so normally I would try to solve the 50-point mission and a 45-point mission. One of the games, the person I was playing Cardassian, so I went to solve this first and kind of made the game a little better for me than it would have otherwise still lost, but it is what it is. Okay, so overall, I would rate this card a Sylvia. So Sylvia because it has a lot of potential, kind of needs to go in the right deck, but can have pretty big payoff if you get everything aligned from it. Number 3 on my list is Parliament. So I ran Parliament out of a DS9 deck, and really the dream is to get your personnel there as fast as possible to make your personnel free. So you can imagine playing Elizabeth Vance, Sharish, Quark, and then Rio Grande all in turn 1, and still have some counters left over. Fly that ship over to Parliament, park those guys there the rest of the game, and get 2 free counters essentially every turn. Now, Deep Space Nine has a ton of good diplomacy personnel. Almost any of the Cisco's. I guess if you're gonna get -2 costs, once a turn, I think you probably want to hit the high cost people as much as possible. But yeah, most of the Cisco's have diplomacy. Most of the Kiras have diplomacy, and big cards like Worf. There's an Odo that has diplomacy. Vic Fontaine, a lot of diplomacy in that deck. You can also run it out of the Next Generation, I think. If you play a Fed, a not a Lion, and then either Stefan De Save or Kalar, which kind of interestingly both have diplomacy themselves, so you could get them there early. I think Deep Space Nine has a little more potential in there because with the runabouts and the cheap personnel, you can get people there on turn 1, and do use that for the rest of the game. I think I got that most of the times on turn 1 or not turn 1, but turn 2 going. One of the things that I think is kind of cool is if you leave your personnel there, is that you can run into an opponent that's going to mess with you. So you're really susceptible to, like, for example, an all-out war. They just come over and kill your guys. That obviously you lose the personnel and it turns off your bonus. The dream, however, is to get the counterplay, get a defended and hope to get your boosted up, and then a stunning reversal. So it has some counters to it, but then some counterplay as well. I really like the card for that reason. So overall, I would rate the card Brunt, FCA Liquidator, but specifically Brunt that's played as the only Ferenginar card in a dual headquarters deck. Because I don't think Parliament is a very it's not going to be very easy to solve, and oftentimes I think you're just going to want to use the bonus from it. So like Brunt's really good at what he does, but he's not really used for, I guess, his primary purpose. And importantly, you put yourself at a little risk when using it. Our number 2 on my list is Tyree Follow Cryptic Vision. I love this mission. It's what I think is the missing component for a lot of Bajoran decks out there. You can run it either out of the Treachery route or the Honor route. I ran it out of the treachery route because I love Ducat, probably one of my favorite personnel in the game. I love the way he kind of interacts with the discard pile. And a card like the new Winadami goes pretty well with it. I guess she's not that new anymore. You can run out of the treachery route pretty easily, or you can run out of the more traditional integrity route using Emissary Cisco and Opaka, Brile, things like that. The mission skills are pretty easy to get. Really, just 6 skills. Getting 3 honor and 3 treachery is not difficult in a Bajoran deck. Leadership is pretty easy as well. So just Arc and Geo is what you're looking for. Fortunately, Bajorans have a really easy non-unique to play, a 1-cost Weldram who has Arc, Geo, and Science. So that kind of completes the mission skills very easily. Now, Bajorans also have a lot of awesome Prophet and Power Wraith cards. Some of them are obvious, some of them are less obvious. That if you're playing this deck, you could add in your deck really easily. Covenant's an easy play if you're playing the Treachery route. I also got some mileage out of Ancient Grudge. I thought that was pretty cool too. Now, it's a mission that requires 3 Treachery, so you are susceptible to Issue Trust. I played this in a Hall of Fame regional that I won, where Issue Trust wasn't in there, and I played it in a regular game where it was and didn't do as well. So you plan accordingly, I guess. But that's a pretty tough dilemma, obviously, if you're playing Treachery or Honor Bajorans. Now, like where I said this kind of the missing component in a lot of Bajoran decks is you have some easy missions that Bajorans can access, but they don't give you a lot of points, so you need to find your points elsewhere. So the obvious one is the Denorius Belt. Locate Celestial Temple. This is if you're playing the Integrity route. So this only gets you 20 points, and so normally if you didn't have access to a 50-point mission, you're thinking, okay, I got to get 20, and then when I'm going to get 40 and 40 to get 100. You could easily say, well, I'll get this 20-point mission, and I'll get Tyree for 50, and then I'll find some random 30-point mission that fills out the rest of it. Maybe investigate Maquis activity or something like that. Similarly, if you're playing the Treachery route Bajorans, you also have Gerado. This is another Bajor region mission you can solve. So you basically, I think the way that we play is you can kind of solve kind of an easy Bajoran mission to get your deck moving, and then go out and start solving some harder ones like Tyree. Now, one of the cool cards in the new set that came out was one of these Think Tank personnel, Phenom. I actually played him in my deck, and I really liked him. A lot of times I used him to exclude Ducat, but kind of depending on where the game was, I also used him to exclude, for example, Kira Maru, and you would exclude him at that last mission. So as kind of a final push to get through. Overall, I would rate Tyree getting under your skin. So like getting under your skin, it's a card that Bajorans can really build their deck around. Gives them a lot of options to go many different routes. Will be a centerpiece for a lot of that, and overall just a really good card. That leaves number 1 on my list, Basin Rift. Liked this card when I saw it, played with it some more, liked it some more. Now I think I'm in love with it. Now it's a nebula mission, so the first thing and it's force span, so the first thing you think of is hurried departure. So right away it gives you a lot of different round the corner options, thinking about getting this plus 10 to get to 40. How are you going to do that? There's a lot of ways. So when I played it with TNG. TNG have a lot of good personnel to help you solve it. So Lopez and Leon Su together they give you all the skills except the double honor. If you want all the skills except the double honor as well in one person, you can get that on Togarin, another nice personnel with 6 integrity. And if you're going to go there first, like you might want to, McCoy is a great option for TNG to put those attributes to make those attributes really easy to solve. Now, what I think is pretty cool about the mission is it does have some potential catastrophe with it. So you have to place a personnel involved to cost 4 or more in their discard pile. So if you solve, or your ship gets destroyed. So if you go out there and don't have enough 4 or more cost personnel, it can be devastating. And so when I was playing this, I was thinking, okay, I got to make sure I get enough four cost people there in case all of them get stopped and I still solve it. So really kind of fun in-game decision making with that card. So you can include some obvious ones like Loaxana Troy, got a lot of good skills. In addition to her normal use, Shelly as well, if you want to play the battleship route. So the way I played the mission is I tried to get the 60 points from it with the hurried departure, and then finish it off with Baku Planet for the other 40 points. Also had in there the Enterprise D to get, which can get 5 additional points on Base and Rift or 10 additional points on Baku Planet. But there's probably a lot of different Enterprise you can use, a lot of different ways we can get 100 points with this deck with this mission. What I thought was pretty cool, and the first time I saw this played against me, someone was playing the Romulan route, and the Romulan route actually works pretty well with Sela. So I didn't really think about her in the first place, but she has a couple of the important mission skills, but she also makes it so the dilemmas you face there require cunning instead of integrity or strength. So now this is a good option with Sela to go there, and you don't really have to worry about Gomtu as much as you normally would. I also think you can play it out of Deep Space Nine probably pretty easily, and maybe and probably TOS maybe even easier than that. Overall, I would rate this card a back to basics. So it's not going to obviously fit in every deck, but in the right deck, it's going to be absolutely critical. You're going to build your deck around it if you're playing with it. It's going to be a kind of a centerpiece of that. So overall, I think it's the best one. Between that and Tyree was a little difficult decision, but I think this one gives you slightly more options because you can play it out of so many different headquarters. So that's all for my review. Let me know what you think. If you haven't had a chance to play in any tournaments yet, we're playing weekly online. Give some of these new missions a try. See you later.